Which MMOs can you play right now to have fun in PvP? Which MMOs could you bypass the PvE or any other aspect and only solely focus on the PvP? We will find out in this video. Hi guys, I'm Thogray and we are back for a video. We will discuss about my top 5 PvP MMOs of the moment and discuss briefly what you can expect on each of these MMOs. Some MMOs I don't really play anymore, and some MMOs I'm still playing on since it's loads of fun and actually respects your time. So let's start up this video with also a big disclaimer. You won't find ff14 in this list, because their PvP is actually lackluster and you will never be happy as a PvP player on these kind of games. Again, what I explained for people that never played Final Fantasy, actually your class in PvP is different from what you can have in PvE. It's just not that fun, and actually I think it's a shitfest. When you're trying to fight people versus 6 people, for example, you don't know what is happening, since all those spell effects and shit is just all over your screen. There is no real competitive PvP. They are kind of ruined it with 5.0 with their PvP system rehaul like a bit, and yeah, I feel like if you're a PvP player, you should never ever touch FF14 except if they are reworking the PvP to a standard that we all know and love. So if you love a good story or any other PvE aspect, and when I say good story, if you like the story, it's subjective again, then you can give a shot. But for me, as an only PvP player, I play PvP games like League of Legends, Guild Wars 2, or any other PvP games that you can actually PvP on. I can't play this game. This game is really not made for me. So now let's start with number 5, Albion Online. It is a full loot PvP game where if you die, you will lose all your items that are on your character at that very moment. There is no real competitive PvP. You can see it as a unfair PvP because all battles are unfair as in real life. Albion Online loves to remind you that if you are alone, you can be sure there is ganking groups of 3 or more people to defeat you and steal all your items, which is kinda unfair, but that's also the charm of the game. Why is it in the top 5? Because the PvP is more revolved around clans, self-made factions and groups battling for honor and glory, which is very nice if you like that kind of PvP. There is some epic fights in this game. If you play Albion Online, it is for this kind of interaction, the sense of having a huge army versus another huge army, and then defeating them because of tactical decisions, because of your sense of battle, sense of friendship and communication with your group. And that's actually what Albion Online is all about. If you want to get challenged or have some skill gaps, this won't be the game for you, since it is more revolved around coordination, tactics, macro gameplay, than on the micro side where you can outplay people with only skill. It is definitely not the game for that. But if you like to have like huge army versus huge army or small skirmishes and try to tactically overwhelm your enemy, then it's definitely a game for you. If you like the gameplay that Albion Online could provide, you will also see that on the video, then I would recommend you guys to give it a shot. For what it is worth, the population of this game keeps on increasing and increasing, in contrary of games on this list. Guild Wars 2. Guild Wars 2 is a fantastic game for PvPers, although it isn't a PvP centric game as the first iteration of the IP, Guild Wars 1, and it is still great. There is structured PvP and world versus world. Structured PvP, or called SPVP, is a non-gear based mode where you can hop on from level 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever level you are, and directly play in casual and ranked games. You can test a few different builds, you can test a few different gear sets, stat sets, and the fun is directly possible since you are already max leveled. You don't really have a gear advantage versus someone. You can just test your build, your weapon sets, and hop in PvP. You can also test PvP to have actually an idea of on what skills you want to upgrade in PvE, since you need to upgrade those skills and it costs points, so it's not free. World versus world, on the other hand, is gear relevant. You would like to be at least around level 80 to have an actual impact on the map. It is a 3-faction warfare between servers, and you can have fun with your guild or in small groups. You have sieging weapons, you have like forts, defense. Like, it is very nice to play Guild Wars 2. It is very active at prime time and often great battle to be seen, and it actually respects your time since the progression is more horizontally, except a few times where you need to progress vertically, like leveling, like gear to level 80. But once you are level 80, once you got your gear, often than not you're going to progress horizontally because you want other stats, because you want other gear, because you want other builds. And that's what's actually great on Guild Wars 2. So you can play Guild Wars 2, stop Guild Wars 2, and come back in 2-3 months and still be in a place where you was when you quit the game, you know. So that's very nice. The only problem I see on the game is the amount of bots in casual matches in SPVP and the requirements to have some gear in World vs World, because if I could level up in World vs World, I would definitely do that and not touch PvE. I would just level from level 1 to level 80 in only World PvP. And that's the only problem I had, because in the beginning it was possible. In the beginning, when no one was level 80, we could jump in World vs World at level 10 and have very awesome fights. I still remember in the beta test, when I was playing in the beta test, it was actually one of the better experiences I had, except the lag and the optimization that was very lacking in Guild Wars 2. I recommend this game for people that like a great action combat system, where you will need to be very active and reactive versus other players. Aeon Classic. That's the number 3. This game is made with PvP in mind. Aeon Classic is the new way to play Aion, and came out the 23rd of June in NA. But people from all places in the world can of course play on these servers. Like I said on the previous video, I'm from Belgium and my ping swings from 100 to 120 ms, and it really doesn't feel that bad. You would think 120 ms would kill the PvP, but honestly, when you are fighting, you are really not feeling the lag that 120 ms could produce on, say, any other game. Aeon Classic is a game that you can regard as a PvPvE game, so PvP and versus environment. To do PvE, you will need to interact with other players and combat if necessary or wanted. And same goes for PvP. You will need to interact with mobs to have the opportunity to actually PvP with them. So it is a fast-paced game, and it is a vertical game. If you know what I mean with vertical, I mean with you will need to fly a lot while fighting, since the fighting can happen on the ground but also in the air, and that makes it for very interesting gameplay, since there is not really a lot of MMOs that use that vertical aspect. You have lots of horizontal and maybe some hills and some line of sights, but with Aion it is vertical, horizontal, like it's a 3D game, it's a 4D game actually when you see it in that aspect. At the very moment, a few fights have taken places with like plus level 25s, because the game is quite slow while leveling. So there were more than 400 people to try and fight for forts, like 200 versus 200. Like, actually the balancing is very good at the moment. And if you like open world PvP and like the aspect of having a ganking group or a Zerg, this game could be for you. Interesting combat, interesting classes, with specific roles, and of course solo PvP being fun and rewarding for ganking people in 1 versus X situations. Warhammer Return of Reckoning. Warhammer Online has shut down their servers, but has not stopped people from making their own server and thriving with a loyal player base. The amount of players on prime time is very satisfying. Like, you will always have PvP action in the world. Your scenarios, set battlegrounds, are popping within the minute or two, which is very good because you can just pop in scenarios and still PvP if you don't really want to RVR at the moment. Let me explain. This game has one of the best open world PvP with sieging, solo PvP, roaming, zerging, 6-man groups. You have everything you want from a PvP game. Tanks can be tanks, healers can be healers, and DPS can be DPS. This game regroups all archetypes and make it possible to have fun with any classes or any roles. If you want to play tank, the beefiest of beefiest classes that you can make, then you can still thrive in PvP, still 1v1 people, still try to hold on versus people, try to have a healer besides you and try to go into melee. It is all possible with this game. You have forts, keeps, city sieges, and of course the usual roaming in RVR, realm versus realm, so destruction versus the order. Or PvP is also, in my opinion, very balanced. The devs are working on new content, even though it's a private server. I feel it's more of an official server for me, for Warhammer Online. And they try to balance the game out so that everyone can have fun with their classes. They also made it possible to play in solo ranked or grouped ranked 6v6 on a battlefield. So if you want to do arenas, because that's the sort of arena that you can play, you can do that. You can be competitive, you can try to climb, express your skill, grind your MMR for better gear and cosmetics. Gear matters, but there is often a close gray area where your group composition and your group communication can make your battle a one battle, and even though they are like super geared, you can still win those battles if you're communicating right. So the dev teams is actually very good. It doesn't accept any cash or donation, and if you actually want to support them, you can check their website out because there is some ads there, so try to get ad block out, and of course download the game. It helps them to of course have some money with the website's ads, and also have a more popular game, which is actually very thriving at the moment with a lot of 1k to 1k5 people online at prime time, and that amount of people is very nice for PvP. Trust me, you will have enough people to kill, and PvE is still okay, but if you play Warhammer Online, it is mostly for PvP. This game has been the best game I had when we had quarantine, and I often hop on the server to have just some great PvP battles. RVRs, scenarios, set battlegrounds are great ways to have your PvP kick of the day, and I still play my Witch Hunter, which is one of the funniest classes I played. It is a rogue from World of Warcraft, but I think a lot harder to play since your stealth doesn't... You have only 1 minute stealth time, so I think it's a great game to play on. Before I reveal my top 1 PvP MMO, there's a few honorable mentions. Blade and Soul, Black Desert Online, and Elder Scrolls Online. The problems I have with BDO is that it is very much a pay-to-win game. The difference between a whale, so guys that spend a lot of money on their game, and a non-payer, like just maybe a subscriber or any other player that doesn't want to pay a crazy amount of gear, is way too massive for me to actually enjoy the game. Blade and Soul is actually a great competitive game. There was esport in Korea, I don't know if it's still on, since there is a lot of games that are upcoming and that are active in Korea that are very good and not pay to win. and you can bypass the aesthetics or other boring shenanigans like PvE or questing in general. Then you can try your shot with Blade and Soul, but remember, it is very hard to actually quest in Blade and Soul because it is just super boring. It is really a generic MMO in that aspect. ESO, so Elder Scrolls Online, has the problems of not being optimized for me. On prime time, you can just lag out, because you are having a big battle in one zone, which I don't really understand why they do that, why they have those kinds of problems, when Warhammer Online, like Return of Reckoning, has no problems with fitting 400 people in one zone. Why would ESO have this problem? And anyways, that's maybe another discussion for another day, but enough chit chat. Number one is, of course, unfortunate until few MMOs comes out, World of Warcraft. TBC or retail, the PvP on this game remains the best competitive PvP you can have if you are looking for an MMO. You have battlegrounds, rated battlegrounds, skirmishes, and of course rated arena. Open world PvP is kinda dead, not gonna lie. If you are looking for some close esport PvP, you can always play WoW and enjoy it for what it is. The problem I have with PvP has been said on a previous video. It just doesn't really respect your time, as for example Guild Wars 2, which respects your time massively. For me, it needs to be in between WoW and Guild Wars 2. I think Guild Wars 2 respects your time too much, so you don't really have an incentive to come back on the game. But WoW just keeps you grinding. Like, it's not a grind. Grind is not long. It's just tedious since it's boring, and you want to actually do the content that you always want, but you are forced to do some content that you really don't want to touch it, even with a pole stick, you know. But still, WoW is still king in that domain, but a very few great MMOs are coming out, and I'm going to discuss about it in a future video. If you like the content and wish to support me, please like the video and subscribe to the channel, so you won't miss out on future content. This channel is made for MMOs and PvP games in general. I try new MMOs out for their PvP, and of course make guides on them if I feel qualified to discuss about the topic. I'm not going to make a, let's say, Warlock from World of Warcraft Warlock guide if actually I'm not playing Warlock. So be sure to check it out. I hope I can make you learn a few things, maybe make you learn a few games, but also make you enjoy a few games that you wouldn't enjoy if you hadn't seen that video. So thank you for watching this video, I appreciate it, and we will see each other very soon. Have a great and fantastic day. Bye.